over in the North Square part, very elite, and I felt like I didn't have to participate in the spring cleanup. In spring of 2018, my fiance and I moved to Fountain Square, and once we were all settled, I was like, I really want to start to know our neighbors, so we decided we were going to go to the fall cleanup. Super sad, 5 people, very depressing, and I knew I had to do more than show up. I had to get involved, so I joined the board. I volunteered to plan the April 2019 cleanup, and we had 50 people, including the mayor, show up. So how did we do that? We did it differently. We got out, we handed out flyers, we all met at the wine market to make it social. There was coffee, there was donuts. We tapped into the Keep Indianapolis Beautiful network, and there's block captains, so we reached out to all of them. There was a map, so everyone knew what they were doing and where to go. And it was awesome, but there was still 1,750 people that we did not reach for that cleanup. So what is curb muck? No one knows, but it's an eyesore, it's heavy, it's gross, and the cleanup days are nice because you have your packer trucks and your dumpsters, but if you don't have the right tools, you really can't have an impact on it. It's been there for years. So out of the 50 people, there was probably only 5 of us that actually had what we needed to be successful in tackling the curb muck. But it isn't just about looks. There's a lot of storm drains that look like this, and our water isn't draining, so you get pooling, which causes infrastructure problems. If you're lucky enough to be on a street where that's not what it looks like, you still have the rainwater that's getting fertilizers, pesticides, animal waste, and that's all getting in our stormwater, which comes back to us. And that's why green space and rain gardens are so important, and we have to be our own street sweepers, because we don't get those in Fountain Square. So this picture was my tipping point. I was on a dog walk, and I still saw trash and weeds, and I was like, what is happening? This is not how our neighborhood should look. So I did what every upset person did. I went to Nextdoor, and I was like, who wants to do something different? Kept it super positive, but that is when FSNA Cleanup Crew was born. We have 38 members, males, females, young, old, so it's awesome, but we're still lacking some people, and I think diversity is what's gonna unlock and help us be even more successful in 2020. I wanna see racial diversity, socioeconomic diversity. Where are the renters? Where are the people who own Airbnbs? Everyone has a part to play. Everyone can contribute. So why is a neighborhood cleanup program so important? I think how a neighborhood looks is a direct reflection of what it thinks about itself. So when it's littered with trash and there's graffiti and abandoned buildings, it says, we don't care, we don't have pride in our neighborhood, we're inviting the crime in with it. So a cleanup program, it can offer, it brings attention to, the abandoned buildings, the piles of trash, the potential like rodent breeding grounds, but you also just get to meet your neighbors. There's this bridging of generations. You get to learn about recycling, you get to make a greener neighborhood, and just you have a nice place where visitors and businesses want to be. So there's a lot of great things that a neighborhood cleanup program can offer, and it just looks clean and happy, and people maybe want to be outside. But I think the #1 benefit from a neighborhood cleanup program is social capital. You have people working together. You have people working together, and they're forming bonds through this shared experience. And so what social capital can offer is, it takes down the borders and it embraces the diversity. So instead of individual pieces in your neighborhood, you have this cohesive body, and you're left with a large group of people who know you and care about you and are proactively trying to help you. And what more could you want for your neighborhood? So fast forward, we have the spring cleanup, we get FSNA Cleanup Crew going. Fall 2019 cleanup, we create the war board. This is my favorite thing I have ever made. So Carl in North Square had a war board. I was like, I'm gonna make my war board better. And so we color coded it, and depending on how able you were, there was different types of tasks. We had target streets, because it's a huge area. We can't do it all at once. We still had coffee and donuts, so it was social, but it was a more central location. And one of the biggest unlocks was we got Health and Hospital to donate tools. So we had the resources we need to have a successful cleanup. There was only about 30 people who came, but the impact we made that day was so much greater because everyone was equipped with what they needed. So successful fall cleanup, and then you still see people on Nextdoor complaining, alleys suck, there's potholes. And I'm like, we are not taking care of what we have. Do you have a right to complain? There was I get so upset. But there was a neighborhood survey, and the #1 complaint was trash and crime. And so it's like, what are you doing about it? And everyone says it's never going to get better. But what if it does? What if one day the city has all this money, and they're like, we're fixing alleys? Do you think they're going to turn to a neighborhood that's just complained for the last 15 years? Or do you think they'll turn to a neighborhood that's proactively taking care of the infrastructure they still have? I would put money on the latter. So, but everyone has to do their part for it to be successful, and I think that's why the cleanup crew turning towards engagement involvement in 2020 is so important. We have all of our cleanup dates set, so we can really just focus on getting more people out there with us. And just to kind of bring it back, a clean space does make an impact. If we have everyone caring and doing their part, when that piece of trash is on the ground, you're gonna pick it up because there's not 100 other pieces of trash there. If your neighbor can't get out and clean their curb muck, maybe you're gonna do it for them because everyone is coming together to make that difference. So Keep Indianapolis Beautiful has been an amazing resource. As I mentioned, their block captain program. If you sign up, you get tools, and then they come and rate your block, I think, twice a year, maybe? And depending on your score, you can get plants and trees. And then imagine that, you're planting trees on your street, so it's shaded, and you get more people walking out on your streets and seeing what they look like. And that's just going to improve overall quality of life and health in your neighborhood. And so we have to care about that if we want people to keep wanting to live here and visit. But this is my happy place. It's me in the alley with my wheelbarrow of curb muck. You can find me on any given Saturday over the summer tackling it. But thank you. I hope you all go home and clean up your curb muck.